Air Nuigini remains afloat during COVID-19 pandemic. PNG exports seafood to China. And more retail outlets fined for breaching Order 19.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Seah.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for Tuesday's news. Air Nuigini wants to assure the public they are in good financial health and will continue to remain as the national carrier. While COVID-19 has seen major airlines in the region let go of staff, Air Nuigini's Managing Director Bruce Alabaster says the board and management decisions have kept Air Nuigini afloat. Mr. Alabaster also stating that Air Nuigini has never received grants or funds from the government and have only received a 3-year loan for 20 million kina from Kumul Consolidated Holdings during the COVID-19 period.
Air Nuigini CEO Bruce Alabaster making a bold statement that the People's Airline is in good financial health and keeping afloat.
So I think it's important to note that Air Nuigini is in good financial health. It's got a good, solid balance sheet. Fortunate enough to receive an interest-bearing loan from KCH, but that's a loan, like all commercial institutions, that we're going to have to pay back, and that we're going to have to pay back with interest. It's a loan, not a grant. So I reiterate, Air Nuigini, in the last 25 years at least, has not received any grants from the PNG government. We are a standalone commercial, state-owned enterprise, but proudly representing the people of PNG.
The COVID-19 lockdown had the airline grounded for 2 weeks before resuming flights domestically and international outgoing flights. Alabaster stating the COVID-19 assistance in bringing in needed medical cargo came at a loss but was undertaken as a community service.
We've continued to provide essential air services from the minute the 14-day SOE ended. We operate to every town and city in PNG, as well as to Cairns, Brisbane and Singapore. And through that, we provide opportunities to bring PPE and medical equipment into the country. Passengers, especially Papua New Guineans, coming back to quarantine for 14 days. And we provide an essential air service domestically. In reality, especially in the first days after the SOE, we've done that at a loss, but we've done it as part of our service to Papua New Guinea.
The airline industry across the globe and within the region taking a blow with many airlines letting go of staff.
Almost 2,000 PNG national staff who rely on us, and probably 40,000 Wontoks who rely on them. And we've managed to actually continue to pay them during this crisis, and we hope to continue to do that. And that's on the back of the Air Nuigini board in 2018, turning this airline around by over 130 million kina. So that's by renegotiating the Boeing leases, ensuring that the 737s are only paid when we use them, and a host of other foreign supplier renegotiations that have delivered us the benefit right through this year and into next year.
The airline still looking to refleet an aging Fokker fleet that has been out of the air during the COVID-19 due to flight scheduling as well.
The Dash 8s are flying heavily, and that's because you see NAC and Asian Development Bank doing some runway works. So at the moment, KVang, Rebel and Hagen, which are normally Fokker airports, are restricted to Dash 8s. So the Dash 8s are getting quite a bit of use.
Air Nuigini looking to purchasing and leasing of the Boeing 787 Airbus and the Embraer.
Now there's been figures of 300 million kina talked about, and that's absolutely correct, that that's the sort of figures for the regional jets that will replace the Boeings. But that's not money that Air Nuigini has to find. We'll be leasing these aircraft. Now, we'd love it if the onshore superannuation funds and the landowners came to the party. And these are US dollar assets that are highly sellable and good investments.
Mr. Alabaster making it clear that there are no restrictions for domestic travel, and for those wanting to see the country, now would be a great time to travel domestically. Adelaide Sirokskari, National EMTV News.
Air Nuigini CEO also commenting on the PNG Air acquisition of 60% shares. While the proposed buy is currently before the Independent Consumer and Competition Commission, Air Nuigini maintains that PNG Air will run independently as an airline, but on a code share agreement. Mr. Alabaster said the company, under Link PNG, will be able to improve financially with proper scheduling of flights, and that the code share agreement will provide a variety of flights with maximum number of passengers on board.
Which is our smaller turboprop operator, has come to, in principle, agreement to purchase the 40% of shares that NAS Fund owns in PNG Air. Importantly, that's still subject to ICCC approval, and it's subject to shareholder approval. It's not a merger. This is a joint venture with MRDC and with the minority other shareholders in PNG Air. It's not a merger. We will certainly offer to buy the other shareholders out. Most of them invested in at around 1 kina at the time PNG Air listed, and they've seen no benefit. So we'll put that offer out there, but we would honestly prefer that they stayed in and they came along with us back into profitability. The simple fact is, over the last 4 years, PNG Air has lost 93 million kina, and they've got 143 million kina in carried forward losses. Now, that's not the management's money, it's not the board's money. That is the money that actually has been provided by all those private employees who contribute to super funds and the landowners. It's the landowners and the private employees' money. And we intend to actually make that good by making PNG Air profitable.
EMTV has reached out to PNG Air for comments made by Air Nuigini. We'll bring you more details on this in tomorrow's news. The country's fisheries sector has received accreditation to export seafood directly to Chinese markets. Fisheries Minister Dr. Lino Tom said through this agreement, over 77 seafood entities in the country will have access to Chinese markets. This agreement was signed with the Chinese government yesterday.
This agreement was signed between the National Fisheries Authority and the Chinese ambassador yesterday. Through this agreement, the country will be able to export its tuna products, including other seafood, directly to China.
Important markets for our lucrative tuna industry. And we've been looking around for other markets right across the world for our tuna and seafood products. And China market has been one that has been a big market that we've been working on.
According to Fisheries Minister Dr. Lino Tom, this is a result of a lobby group put together in 2015 whose aim is to look at alternative markets for the country's seafood. Through this lobby group, markets such as the EU markets have been identified, including the Chinese market. The Fisheries Minister says the Chinese market is one of the biggest seafood markets in the world.
Our registered companies will no longer have to go through Singapore or Hong Kong or a third country to access the Chinese seafood market, which is probably one of the biggest in the world today. This achievement is a result of hard work that commenced in 2015.
The minister further adding that this is also a result of the government's policy directive to develop broad-based fisheries sector and expand productive capacity. He said under this agreement, up to 77 seafood entities in the country have been officially registered by China Customs to export.
These entities include 35 seafood companies, 31 cold storage, 9 fishing vessels, including general fishing, seine and prawn trawlers, and 2 reefer carriers.
Chinese Ambassador Zhu Bing also congratulated the seafood entities who will be exporting seafood to China. He said this is the first step into more of such cooperation in the fisheries and agriculture sectors.
I think this is the first step of more cooperation in the agriculture area. And I think we are talking about, for the next step, more agriculture products export to China.
Rayon Lakingu National, EMTV News.
In close collaboration with the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, the National Fisheries Authority will formalize their PNG-China Joint Committee with the Chinese government. This is to strengthen cooperative arrangements in various technical areas of mutual arrangements. Fisheries Minister Dr. Nuigini says they are also keen to commence negotiations for a free trade agreement with China. The minister says the Chinese seafood market presents an opportunity for the country to also tap into the agriculture sector apart from the already developed tuna market.
In close collaboration with our Department of Foreign Affairs, Immigration and Trade, we will look to formalizing the PNG-China Joint Committee between NFA and the Bureau of Fisheries under China's Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Affairs to further strengthen cooperative arrangements in various technical areas of mutual interest, pending the outcome of the impact of this global COVID-19 pandemic. Amongst the many areas of technical areas of cooperation, we are keen to commence and negotiate a free trade agreement with China. And I am confident through the continued support and guidance by the Embassy, along with our Department of Foreign Affairs, Immigration and Trade, we can expedite this as a priority for our government.
PNG also has the potential to be a #1 supplier of fresh agriculture produce to the Asian market. These remarks were made by Prime Minister James Marape after signing an MOU for investments in smart agriculture and livestock projects worth over 44 billion kina.
The investment by McKinley Asia PNG Limited is one of many that provides the opportunity for the country to transform its agriculture sector into a major exporter in the global market. And during the signing of the 45 billion kina investment agreement for Eastern Highlands Province, the Prime Minister again stressed on his government's stance on developing agriculture.
I always say that PNG can become a food bowl, food basket, food supplier to the Asian market out there.
And with established relations with major investors in the Asian market through APEC agreements, the opportunity now lies in front of PNG.
Papua New Guinea has already alliances with the APEC economy and our Asian nations. Asia has huge population, 120 million people in Japan, 51 million people in South Korea, throw in another 30 in North Korea. You got 1.5 billion in China. You got 260 million in Indonesia. You got another 1.5 billion in India.
The PM says there are still countless issues that need to be addressed. One is to improve the production chain from farmers to consumers.
With transport connectivity, current internet come close to now people are fixing power into the future from Eastern Highlands, from PNG, from all airports, people like supply Asia one time kaikai. By air freighting. You can supply kaikai every day. All we need to do is production chain must be improved, reliability of supply every time. So all house land grow him, buy him, sell him, ship him. That entire complete production chain must be fixed.
Moreover, the PM has encouraged every provincial government to seek more opportunities abroad and bring in more investors to invest in the agriculture sector.
If they all come inside now, through bianim talk people sign current money come or kind of same, the national government can give him 20-year, 30-year tax holiday. You can build him factory. You sit down on him, like you finish product, give him good price, growers, respect him or provincial government, respect him or Lenona, and we'll try to progress in that space. So I've encouraged our provincial governments right across our country, instead of becoming expenditure center to the national government, you get out there and look for business.
Stanley Over Jr., National EMTV News.
You're watching National EMTV News. We'll be back with more stories after these messages. Stay with us. Welcome back. The Independent Consumer and Competition Commission continues to issue infringement notices to retail outlets across the country for conducting business in breach of Emergency Order Number 19, which clearly states that no retail outlets or shops should increase their prices past the 5% mark. Not too long ago, ICCC investigative teams visited outlets in the Nuigini Islands region to find shops and retailers with hefty spot fines for breaching Emergency Order Number 19. ICCC's latest visit in the Mamase region saw 8 retailers in East Sepik fined for a total of 135,000 kina for illegal price increases. A total of 13 infringement notices were issued to 5 retailers at Maprik, while 14 were issued to just 3 retailers in Wewak town for non-compliance of SOE Order Number 19. The notices were issued after the prices of goods were found to have increased, ranging from 5.5% to 25%. Meanwhile, 4 retail outlets in Lae Morbe and 7 in Kainantu Eastern Highlands Province were fined for breaching Order 19. ICCC Commissioner and CEO Paulus Ein, who was in Lae yesterday, said the total number of infringement notices issued now stands at 238. The retail outlets were fined for increasing their prices of goods above the 5% mark without seeking the approval.
The Independent Consumer and Competition Commission fined 4 retail outlets in Lae Morbe, 2 in Ramu Medang Province and 7 in Kainantu Eastern Highlands for increasing their prices of goods without seeking approval from ICCC. Earlier this month, 13 shops in Lae were fined over 200,000 kina for breaching the National Emergency Order Number 19, not to increase prices of goods above the 5% mark. Almost 400,000 kina was paid as fines to ICCC from the 23 retail shops owned by Asians.
We are not stopping them from increasing their prices. Price increase will be allowed based on their submission to the ICCC. We understand the cost of bringing goods into the shelves or onto the shelves. There are some wholesalers increasing their prices. The cost of bringing goods from overseas is also increasing. So they need to maintain the business on the ground. For them to increase this price without the approval of the ICCC is against the existing order issued by the State of Emergency Control. That is a problem for all the business houses in the country.
Owners of the retail shops were brought into the ICCC office in Lae yesterday by the police. They were issued with infringement notices, each carrying a spot fine of 5,000 kina. Each shop owner was issued a notice according to the number of items that had an increase in price. Some shops received more than 5 infringement notices. The spot fine of 5,000 kina is for an initial offence and 10,000 kina for a repeat offence.
Okay, now you just okay, now we start with a beginning, some order. I go under the practice insurance statement, and that kind of office to sign you put out paper. All right, thank you. Now we thank you.
But me pressing out you come definitely got something we illustrated lab. So you got evidence belong, so that's why Bami play you see you blow that one on infringement notice. So suppose you challenge him in the court, you got rights to place on the backside of this infringement notice, and around 7 days. So after 7 days, so you don't okay payment, but you assume you blow one play reminder notice. Now suppose you don't know pay now, but legal teams from the ball kiss him you blow law court. I beg that people make him service, suppose court defining you blow wrong.
ICCC's price monitoring and surveillance exercise is ongoing nationwide, with over 80 infringement notices issued so far during the SOE period. The state of emergency has made it possible for ICCC to carry out such exercise. It's difficult for ICCC to carry out the exercise on a regular basis because of the restrictions to the provisions in the Prices Regulation Act.
So not to say that we are now not going to do anything. we are working on it. The lawyers have had discussions with the State Solicitor. He's very supportive of the work of the ICCC, and we are looking at amending the Prices and Regulations Act so that we continue this exercise post state of emergency.
Julie Badui, OA, National MTV News, Ley.
The aggrieved Moran Oil Project landowners of Southern Highlands have presented a petition to Kumul Petroleum Holdings Limited over project benefits. PDL5 spokesperson John Pipi Kila says KPHL has been given a 7-day notice to transfer 5% to Mineral Resource Development Company. 38 ILG chairmen signed and presented the petition to KPHL and other concerned state agencies.
The petition was signed yesterday in Port Moresby by the 38 ILG chairmen of Moran PDL 5 and 6. Petition pointers include the immediate transfer of 5% held by KPHL back to MRDC as the trustee and rightful entity. About 2.5 million kina is involved.
Mibla like him 2,500,000. You wrong no pay me go long. Nubla company. We all call him Moran Oil Limited. And who said the owner is the company? Mibla no sabe. So Mibla Papang Grand like him 2,500,000. You pay blongan. And you rush money belong 5% in the well where money belong Mibla.
KPHL has been given 7 days notice to respond to the petition. A chairman says the landowners are pushing for these benefits as principal landowners in the project did. They maintain the stand as project stakeholders as signed in the project agreement.
Trust deed is the document that that identifies the landowners, their benefits, and in a project area. So currently, we have a trust deed for the 2%. So we want that 5% also to be transferred under that same trust arrangement.
This is the third day for these ILG chairmen from the Moran Oil Project. They quest for answers from Kumul Petroleum Holdings, an entity of state responsible in the oil and gas sector.
Well, Mibla ILG chairman Mibla sana banda block agreement. Mibla no long na Mibla lusin. All little man or sana banda block agreement. Project area masigat according to agreement. You know, you mean by you some nothing.
The landowners demand the transfer of 2.5 million to MRDC. According to them, KPHL parked the money in another account with the name Moran Oil Limited, a business name not agreed upon and never existed during the UBSA and LBSA signing in Kokopo.
This letter will sign minimum 5% in the well Kumul Petroleum. The managing director Wabusong you hold him staff transfer igolong MRDC. Already established here now. MRDC immediately.
Jack Lepave Jr., National MTV News.
And now looking at the NASFund market report, the kina closed unchanged at $0.289 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina is buying $0.2815 $0.4019 Australian dollars, $0.2407 euro and 29.59 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold is trading higher. Coffee, cocoa and copra closed lower. Crude oil is trading lower. Palm oil closed lower and copper closed higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 157 points higher. The ASX 200 is trading at 222 points higher. And the All Ordinaries is trading at 228 points higher. You're watching National MTV News. We'll be back with stories making headlines overseas. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. Turning overseas, South Australian police have launched an internal investigation after a video was posted online showing an officer striking an Aboriginal man while arresting him.
The video was captured in Adelaide's northern suburbs last night and has been widely shared online. It shows officers trying to handcuff the man on the street. As witnesses film, an officer appears to strike the Aboriginal man as he lies on the ground. Pepper spray was also used at the scene.
This is not the first time, this has just been filmed at the right time, so It's happened before.
The 28-year-old man was taken into custody and spent the night in a cell, charged with hindering police, resisting arrest and property damage. But this morning he was released without charge. The officers involved have been placed on administrative duties.
The video that was uploaded onto social media overnight obviously caused concern in terms of the police response. But in fairness to all people involved, a thorough investigation is being conducted.
We are calling for Premier Stephen Marshall, to come and own up to the fact that South Australia has an issue with police brutality.
Police say the officers had been sent to the area for a high-risk domestic violence matter and saw the man leaving on a bike. Officers say he resisted when they proceeded to search him on suspicion of carrying drugs. Police say one of the body cameras worn by one of the officers was grabbed during the incident.
To Beijing, 29 neighborhoods are now under lockdown because of a cluster of new cases of coronavirus linked to one of Asia's biggest food markets.
They're throwing away food in Beijing's largest market. A purge triggered by a new outbreak of coronavirus in the Chinese capital. Since last Friday, authorities say they've detected scores of new locally transmitted cases. Most of the new infections traced back to this place, the Xinfadi market in the south of Beijing. This sprawling wholesale hub distributes more than 80% of the fresh produce that feeds this massive city. The market's now closed due to coronavirus.
These coronavirus cases have perhaps come in contact with a polluted environment in the market, or have come into contact with someone who was infected, who then passed on the virus to them, so they had it. For this reason, shutting down Xinfadi agricultural trading market is necessary.
Less than 2 weeks ago, Beijing was easing coronavirus alert levels. But now officials enforce a strict lockdown on residential compounds around the market. They've launched a huge coronavirus testing spree. Beijing authorities say they've collected tens of thousands of samples in a matter of days and announced plans to contact trace an estimated 200,000 people estimated to have visited the market in the last 2 weeks. The Chinese government clearly doesn't want a repeat of what happened last winter, when this new virus exploded in the city of Wuhan and then spread like wildfire around the world. There's no way Beijing becomes Wuhan 2.0, the editor-in-chief of one party-controlled tabloid wrote. The world will see China's powerful capacity in controlling the epidemic, he added. We will win again. China's now in a race to stop the outbreak. Officials say they've already tracked down several cases that spread from the market in Beijing to at least 2 neighboring provinces. But one important question experts haven't been able to answer yet is how the virus was introduced to this market in the first place.
As many nations relaxed COVID-19 restrictions, global infections are escalating. Confirmed cases have now passed 8 million since the outbreak. More than a quarter are in the United States. President Trump says that's because America is testing more than other countries. But Brazil is catching up. Its official toll close to 44,000.
Housing estates sealed, schools and shops shut down, and new limits on travel out of Beijing because of a worrying new coronavirus cluster after 50 days of nothing.
More than 100 cases have now been confirmed. The origin and extent of the outbreak are being investigated.
Officials are trying to track down 200,000 people linked to this massive food market. State media says the virus was found on chopping boards used with imported salmon.
I don't believe it's the primary hypothesis, but it needs to be explored.
In Brazil, diggers are hard at work. But it's not to bury bodies, it's for digging up the dead to make room for more. More than double the normal number of remains exhumed as infections soar. In the US, fears of a significant second wave, with cases spiking in more than 20 states.
Again, our
testing is so far advanced, it's so much bigger and better than any other country that we're going to have more cases.
There's a new prediction for more than 200,000 deaths in the US by October. And in India, this taxi driver's now an ambulance driver, but he's carrying the dead, at times stacked 6 bodies high. It's hard wearing PPE in the intense heat, he says, but the fear of infection trumps the fear of fainting. And as the virus rages in urban slums, 15 million people in and around the city of Chennai are preparing to return to lockdown.
Almost 75% of recent cases come from 10 countries, mostly in the Americas and South Asia.
But back in China, a new battle's looming, and in Beijing the next 3 days are said to be crucial.
And Trukai Sports is next. Elijah Lavette is at the sports desk.
Thank you, Helen. Coming up in Trukai Sports, PNG Football Association received funding from FIFA, and cricket PNG coaches and officials undergo COVID-safe course. Those stories after the break.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. According to PNG Sports Foundation's Back to Sports protocols, each federation is required to build fences around their sporting venue. PNG Football Association received funding from FIFA for the major fencing project at the PNG Football Stadium.
PNGFA President John Capinato says the association has finally put its administration and finance on the road to good governance, which has prompted FIFA to move on the path towards uplifting its financial sanctions. FIFA has supported PNGFA by committing its first assistance of almost 320,000 kina under the FIFA Forward program to begin the major fencing project at the PNG Football Stadium. Steel Industries has been appointed to carry out the FIFA project with PNGFA. They will be working on internal perimeter palisade fence line, field of play perimeter chain mesh, fence barriers, competition zone barriers, custom built to suit international football competition requirements, palisade fence enclosures of vital installations such as the irrigation, water tanks and pump area, standby generator set, and light tower switch boxes around the field of play with external and internal vehicle and pedestrian gates for use by spectators. There are other projects under the PNGFA radar, which includes the completion of the NGI Football Education Center in Kimbe, the completion of Lay Football Academy, the Highlands Football Education Center, an artificial football turf to be built at the Lay Football Academy, and member association assistance with field development.
Cricket PNG coaching staff, including strength and conditioning department and the high performance coaches, underwent a COVID-safe sport coaches and officials course recently. It was run by the Australian Coaching Council. 6 cricket PNG coaches include the youngest Tom John, a former Barramandi John Ovia, another former Barra, and Mahuru Dai, cricket PNG's talent ID manager Rodney Maha, female strength and conditioning coach Mei Ling Chung, and the latest inclusion to the dynamic team Otto Rakone. This program has ensured the 6 coaches and officials to become well-informed and properly equipped to conduct training sessions and give the national athletes and other participants peace of mind to return without concerns. They can be confident that they are following the proper guidelines to keep all participants safe and protected from COVID-19. And we'll have more stories after the break. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. Speculation has been looming for months, and now a big decision for NRL League superstar Kalen Ponga. After growing up in Palmerston North in New Zealand, the Newcastle Knights see him as their future.
There are superstars, and then there's Kalen Ponga.
Steps back past 5 of them.
The hottest property on the Australian market, but still very much a Kiwi.
I realised that my dad's, even though he hasn't taught me a lot about the Māori culture, he's taught me a lot about
those values that have sort of got me to where I am today.
After representing the Māori All-Stars again in February, he made an immediate impact for the Knights post-lockdown, a testament to the 22-year-old's ability to stay focused, especially when it seems everyone on both sides of the Tasman is talking about his playing future.
I come here, I'm focused on the Knights. I have been since I walked in the front door.
One News understands Ponga is keen to put speculation of an All Black switch behind him. What he's found in the NRL and Newcastle has played a huge role in developing him as a player and as a person. He sees that as the most important thing moving forward, as well as winning Newcastle's first premiership in almost 2 decades.
Yeah, it's funny how things change. Like 2 years ago, I was just trying to fight for a position, to play NRL. And now I just want to win a comp for this city and be a part of what's happening here.
With an entire career ahead of him, it's a special time for the Pongas. From humble beginnings in Palmerston North, the world is now at his feet.
Netball NZ Premiership teams are awaiting tomorrow's revised draw with great anticipation as they look to secure what recently seemed impossible: home games.
After 3 months on the sideline, the Tactics are happy to see the back of what's felt like a never-ending break.
Feels like the longest pre-season we've probably ever done, but a wee changes. We've lost a few staff, obviously, with Netball Mainland, but the girls have picked up.
The financial strain caused by COVID-19 forced staff cuts at the franchise, which included assistant coach Julie Seymour. Now operating with just a skeleton staff, it's meant the players and the coach have had their hands fuller than usual.
We weren't alone in that. I think there were quite a few teams that had to reduce and things like that, but obviously we reduced that bit further. No CEO, no board, no staff, just me and the team. We were calling ourselves the organisation.
Yeah, look, everyone pitches in. We were everyone was a manager here and there, doing the, washing the bibs or doing something else, but everyone steps up, which is really nice.
But soon they'll go from washing team bibs to being treated like royalty, with chartered flights to Auckland for at least a month.
Yeah, a bit of Beyonce, walk out on the tarmac, no airport, it'll be awesome.
I kind of feel like P. Diddy and Beyonce coming out and someone's going to pick us up on the tarmac and that kind of thing.
Yeah, it'll be really weird. I've never had it, so it'll be very interesting.
Though they'd happily trade the star treatment just for the chance to play at home.
We'd love a home game. Whether that happens or not, we don't know, so we'd love one.
Given the hardship the Tactics have had so far, they're looking every bit the champion team just by making it on court.
True Guy Sports ends there. The weather forecast for the next 24 hours when we come back.
True Guy Sports. True Guy Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by MoniPlus. With you always.
A look at the weather forecast for tonight in the southern region. Partly cloudy with a few drizzles tonight, then fine weather in Port Moresby. Windy conditions with mostly fine weather in Daru. Light drizzles, then fine, although partly cloudy in Kerema. Cloudy with thundery rain showers and drizzles in Alotau. And a few showers, then cloudy in Popondetta. In the Mamasa region, thundery rain shower or two, then cloudy morning in Lae. Mostly fine, although partly cloudy in Medang and Vanimo. A few showers tonight, then cloudy weather in Wewak. In the Nuigini Islands region, mostly fine, although partly cloudy with a shower or two in Lorengau. Mostly fine, although cloudy in KV and Kokopo and Rabaul. A few showers and drizzles tonight, then cloudy in Kimbe, and a few showers tonight, then cloudy in Puka. And in the Highlands region, rain drizzles tonight, then morning fog in Mount Hagen. Light drizzles tonight, then partly cloudy with morning fog in Goroka and Kundiawa. Rain showers and drizzles tonight, then morning fog in Mendi and Wabag.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoniPlus. With you always.
And that's been the news, sport and weather for Tuesday, 16th of June 2020. From all of us here at EMTV, pleasant viewing. Good night.